Dear students of class 10th, in this video we'll revise lesson number 1 of geography, resources and development. So in this video we will revise new topic, that is the development of resources. So when we are talking about development of resource, in a very simple sentence what we can say, it is utilization of resource for the sake of fulfillment of the needs of the humanity and also socio-economic development of the society. But as we know that we human beings are selfish by nature, our needs or the requirements are infinite in nature, unlimited in nature. So to fulfill our infinite needs, we have been over exploiting the resources. So with regard to the problems what we are facing, that we will discuss later on, first let us discuss about the development of resources. When we are talking about utilization of resources, we know that resources cannot be used as obtained. You can take the example of minerals, or produced, you can take the example of crops, or collected, you can take the example of forest products. They require some processing before satisfying human needs. For this we need to make efforts, use skills, technology, invest capital, develop infrastructure for developing a resource. Resource development is an exercise for the utilization of resources. Resource development also includes conservation, judicious and planned use, especially of exhaustible resources like oil, and controlling pollution. Resource development, in short, is utilization, exploitation, and preservation of a resource. The developed nations have understood the need for conservation, but a lot is required by them. Developing nations are also making efforts in this direction. Overexploitation of resources have led to the following problems. So now let us discuss about the problems what we are facing due to the development of resources, or you can say due to the over exploitation of resources. So here in this slide I have included some of the problems. So now let us discuss some of the important problems what we are facing due to the development, or you can say over exploitation of the resources. First, very important point what we can include here, depletion of resources for meeting the greed of few individuals. Second point, accumulation of resources in few hands, which has divided the society into haves and have-nots, means rich and poor. Indiscriminate utilization of resources and their depletion. This is the another outcome of overexploitation of the resources, or you can say development of resources. Disturbance of ecological balance and extinction of plants and animal. Next problem, pollution and health problems. Sixth, global warming and depletion of ozone layer. So these are the important problems what we are facing. So to control this, various countries, developed or developing, should keep understanding towards nature and make concerted efforts to conserve it. We should try to bring a balance between exhaustible and non-exhaustible resources. Example, we must develop solar and wind energy as oil and gas are going to finish in a few decades. We must also utilize the resources in judicious way. A judicious, rational, and equitable distribution of resources is essential for sustained economic development and existence of environment in its original form. After that, we will discuss about the sustainable development. So, with regard to the sustainable development, when we are talking about, it means development should take place without damaging the environment, and development in present should not compromise with the needs of the future generation. Now we will discuss about resource planning. So with regard to the resource planning is a technique, or you can say a strategy of proper and judicious utilization of resources. Resource planning also helps in reducing wastage. It keeps the environment pollution free and conserves for future. Resource planning involves three stages. First one, that is the identification and inventory of resources in an area. This involves surveying, mapping, and assessing the quality and the quantity of resources. Second stage involves the assessment of development of the resources in the form of demand in market, importance to economy, and availability of technology for developing that particular resource. Third stage includes planning for the resource exploitation and its contribution in the growth of national economy. So these are the three stages of resource planning. After that, we will discuss about the importance of resource planning. So with regard to the importance of resource planning, or you can say the need of the resource planning, first very important point what we can include here is that resource planning is necessary for the balanced development of any country, or we can say our country India. If we will observe the distribution of the resources, what you will notice is that resources are unequally distributed. There is enormous diversity in the availability of resources. There are regions which are rich in certain types of resources but are deficient in some other resources. There are also some regions which can be considered self-sufficient in terms of availability of resources, and there are also some regions which have acute shortage of some vital resources. So due to all these regions, resource planning is very important. In the slide itself I have mentioned, you can see some of the examples have been given. If we will take the example of Rajasthan, It is poor in water resources, but it is rich in solar and wind energy. If we take the example of Madhya Pradesh, it is rich in many resources, but if we take the example of Ladakh, it is poor in resources. Then wastage of resources can be avoided by planning only. Environment pollution can be reduced, can be controlled by the process of resource planning. So these are the regions due to which resource planning is essential. And about the conservation, we will discuss in the next video.